Hello? Okay. Not sure what's going on here. Let me check the stream real quick just to make sure my audio, see if it was cut out before or not. Okay, so it looks like the audio has not recorded for some of the previous questions. So we're just going to go back and I'm going to re-explain some of these questions that we've gone over so far. It's just been two, so hopefully it won't take too long. Sorry about that for the technical issues. Okay, so this is a question that we started off on, and it says true or false, short-term fluctuations in real GDP are irregular and unpredictable. And I agreed with the answer here, and the only thing I wanted to clarify was what this looks like on a graph. So here is our dynamic aggregate demand, aggregate supply model. And on this model, we have our long-run aggregate supply, which is this vertical line, and it represents full potential GDP for the economy. If the economy was producing at full potential at a long-term efficient pace, how much GDP could you produce? And this is contrasted with the short-run aggregate supply, which is this upward sloping curve here, which that's something that can change. And so what we see is that there's two different points. There's your potential GDP and then there's your actual equilibrium GDP. Equilibrium GDP is determined by the intersection of short-run aggregate supply and aggregate demand. And if we're doing well, then all three curves, the long-run aggregate supply, the short-run aggregate supply, and the aggregate demand will all intersect at the same point right here. And that would be full equilibrium GDP is equal to potential GDP, right? However, there's certain circumstances in which short-run aggregate supply, as the previous tier's answer suggests, may shift away from a point that is on a long-run aggregate supply, and that causes there to be a difference between equilibrium GDP or real GDP versus potential GDP. So if we have a short-run aggregate supply that's high, we can see that the new equilibrium GDP will be over here, which is going to be higher than your potential GDP. And then on the other hand, if short-run aggregate supply is low and it's over here, then this new equilibrium GDP is going to be less than the long-run aggregate supply's potential GDP. So there's possibility for your actual GDP in the short run to be different than your long-run GDP or your potential GDP. And that fluctuation and shifting away from the long-run aggregate supply is what we refer to as short-term fluctuations in real GDP. That's the only thing I want to clarify. I'm just going over that really quickly because the audio cut out. Other than that, this is a great answer and we're marking this as correct.